So we're now looking at the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups reflects a journey of leaving behind what no longer serves and the seeking of deeper fulfillment. So it's signifying the quest for personal growth and emotional fulfillment at this point in your life.
So let's look at the symbolism on this card, the Eight of Cups. So this card depicts 8 cups arranged in a stack with a noticeable gap here between these 2 cups. The cups represent emotional investments and achievements that are being left behind, and the gap indicates something is missing, which prompts the need to move on. So the figure that you see walking away from the cups towards the mountains symbolises the seeker who is abandoning their current situation in search of something more fulfilling. The journey represents the quest for deeper understanding and personal growth. So the mountains and the water in the background signify challenges and the unknown future, while the water represents emotions and the subconscious. And the mountains suggest that the path ahead may be difficult but necessary for personal growth, and the water indicates the emotional aspect of the decision to leave. The moon that you see in the sky represents intuition, the subconscious and the guidance of inner wisdom. It's suggesting that the decision to leave is influenced by a deep intuitive understanding that it is the right path.
So the Eight of Cups, if it was to show up in a reading, and if you to look at this card, you'll see that the man here is walking away from these cups. So this shows the person walking away from what was once emotionally fulfilling but now no longer serves us. So this means that this card can indicate departure, walking away, abandonment. It is usually in pursuit of something that brings more or greater emotional fulfillment. It's something where he can gain deeper meaning in his life again. It's the acknowledging and the understanding that something no longer serves us and it's time to move on. So very much so, this card can talk about things that we outgrow. It's not necessarily things that are bad and that we have to leave behind because they were causing us problems. It can be things that once were very emotionally fulfilling, but now we have outgrown them and it's time to move on. There was one time when I saw on a Facebook post and somebody had put a post up just asking, what do people think is the saddest card in the tarot? And people were coming up with the obvious cards like the Five of Cups. Some people were putting the Devil, the Tower. And whilst I can relate to those cards being sad in some kind of way, for me the saddest card in the tarot is actually the Eight of Cups. It's not a card of fear, it's not a card of worry, it's not a card of upheaval necessarily, but it's a sad card. And it's a sad card because there are often times in life when we know that things aren't any longer serving us, yet because of our emotional connection to them, or how much they once meant to us, or to admit and acknowledge that it's now time to walk away, that you've outgrown something, it can be just so sad. And so this can be reflected in things like a relationship that once was so dear to you. You could be so much in love with somebody, but you know now that although you still love that person, the spark isn't there anymore, and so it's time to move on. And that can be a really sad time, and a lot of people end up staying together because they don't want to hurt the other person. And I get that makes a lot of sense, especially people that have a lot of empathy. But this card does demonstrate how at times in our life we are going to be faced with these sad situations where we have to admit to ourselves that what once was no longer is, and it's time to move on. So these can also show up not just in relationships, but these could be jobs that have been really dear to us. We're working with colleagues that we we get on absolutely amazing with, and that familiarity and that job that we'd be going to for 20 years that has really served us and has been so emotionally fulfilling, it might just get to a point where it no longer does. We outgrow it. It no longer has the potential for us in that career going forward. There's nothing for us to aim for. Or maybe we know that we can now achieve bigger and better. Maybe we're not being paid our worth. Maybe we've grown but the company hasn't. And so it can relate to many things. So for that reason, in a reading, one of the first meanings this card could hold is the need to let go, the need to walk away. It might just be a card about you needing to find deeper meaning in life. You need to find more spiritual fulfillment. So it could be you on a quest of self-discovery, spiritual development. You may have found that life has become stagnant, or you're just struggling to see the meaning in life and why you wake up every day. And so there's a need for some real personal growth and just discovery and looking at your belief systems. It can sometimes mean the need for emotional protection. So by that I mean that it can mean that we need to leave something that is emotionally now draining us, or like a situation or a person that may have once was good but has now become toxic, so there's a need to walk away. An example of how I've seen it come up is that you're in a relationship with somebody, and although when you began the relationship you were in quite an equal place, you've grown but the other person hasn't, and they've become quite reliant on you and dependent on you, and your roles have changed now. So rather than being like equals and being in a romantic relationship, you're forever always fulfilling the needs of the other person, but they're never fulfilling yours. And it's almost like you've stepped into more of the parent role and them the child role, rather than equal partners. And so what was once fulfilling and you got satisfaction from and your needs were met, it's now very much a drain on you, and so it's time to walk away. This card also speaks about intuition, because it's talking about making decisions from an intuitive place. It's showing us that there's going to be times in our life where there may not be actually any obvious real signs why we need to leave something behind, but there is something that is nagging at us. Our intuition is talking to us now, and it's saying that there's something else you should be doing, or you need to believe in a certain person or a certain circumstance or situation behind now. It's going to end up either costing you or causing you problems in the future. It's going to become emotionally draining, which then could even end up being physically detrimental to us as well. And so it's very much a card of intuition and listening to our intuition, and understanding that sometimes we don't need something massive like a tower moment to happen in order for us to walk away. If we listen to our intuition and we walk away at the point of getting the guidance intuitively, then that actually prevents a tower moment from needing to happen. So if you're wondering what I mean by tower moment, we've done the tower card already in this playlist, so if you want to listen to that message, it will explain what I'm talking about now. But it's not always necessary for a tower moment to occur. And the Eight of Cups is like, it's the intuition that you may get sometimes before anything like that dramatic needs to happen. It can also mean the need to seek solitude. So it's about you needing now to withdraw and be able to find yourself, to take some time alone, away from others, which can lead on to how it can be talking about personal growth and transformation. So it's highlighting the potential for personal growth and transformation through the act of leaving behind what no longer serves. It can talk about sometimes like making voluntary sacrifices, so you walking away from a situation for the good of another or for the good of a cause. Maybe you have been saving up because you want to buy a new car, and you've had your mind set on this new car, or your heart set on this new car, and you've nearly about got the money together and you've saved up for it, and then all of a sudden somebody really near and dear to you, they get themselves into a bit of a pickle in some way or another, and they really need some help. And although you were going to use this money that you'd saved to buy your car, you hand the money to this person because you feel their need is greater than yours. That's the best example I can come up with on the spot. I'm afraid that there's much better examples than that. But it's being in a position where you're prepared to make a voluntary sacrifice for the good of another. So that's another way that it can come up. So finally, it can be the end of a cycle in your life, or the end of a phase. So it's just the natural cycle of life, and how as one door closes, another door opens. So it's you ending one phase, ready to embark on a new beginning, but also still holding dear, your memories, your past. That each phase builds you to where you are now, and it's like I said, these cups are all upright, they're not knocked over, so it's not necessarily looking at them with regret, it's just knowing they no longer serve and it's time to move on, but with sadness, but emotionally in a good place to do so.